Well, hello.
Well,
We're
hello.
back for one final game here on Miramar after Team Clueless finally get a nice little win there. That's we see them sitting in second place now. I think they're comfortable, I would say. But you know what? There's still a lot of teams that are chasing, and top four is anything but secure just yet, Clover.
Yeah, I mean, top four is definitely kind of I think, a run-in for a lot of these teams, and we've kind of I mean, I won't even say maybe think it's the story. It is the story, is that oftentimes these lobbies can be so close that it
Mm.
comes down to the very last game. And so for any of those teams that have been struggling on Miramar yesterday and today, they're going to have one more shot at redemption on Erangel after this match. But you know what? I mean, take this game in stride. Use it for your advantage. If you've been struggling, try something different. See what makes it worse. Because as we get a little bit later in the day, you're going to start seeing that teams are running out of opportunities, especially for those that are at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Yeah, definitely keeping an eye on that bottom side of the leaderboard for now, and seeing if any of those teams in that 9 through 16 bracket can make it up into the top 8. Still very close, still very possible, but that is still a trash plane. It doesn't matter where you go, unfortunately, for everybody in the lobby. We'll see where the first circle decides to take us as we see our player for Ascendance, Maji, doing a little looting. Nice ponytail there.
Imaji had a really good late game as we saw that win for Ascendance coming out for that
It is
match. Now, as our
nuts.
circle is going to pop, look at this portal. This is I want to say, the most common basic Miramar
Jeez.
circle that we see.
I literally just said Clueless won that last game. I forgot that Maji had the crazy 1v2. I'm literally forgetting things that happened like 10 minutes ago. What is I'm going full boomer or something. I don't know, but
Ooh, never go full boomer, Poto.
yeah, apparently it's a thing that I don't have the option for much anymore. But Maji, phenomenal play there at the end of that game, and like I said, I mean that's a player that we've kind of looked at before and said, that guy's got something. He's got a little talent to him, and haven't really seen a whole lot going for Ascendance uh, so far this weekend. But they've been pretty consistent, to be honest. I mean, it was consistently bad as far as placement goes yesterday,
Mm-hmm,
but it's been they always manage to get points, and that's
mm-hmm.
and that's something like, look, I'm looking at the leaderboards right now. They go out in 11th place, they still got eight kills. 12th place, they got 4 kills. 11th place, they got 7 kills. Like, I mean, they're still finding their points even when they have games where they go out early. So maybe it's just a question of trying to avoid those early fights. I don't know.
And I think another thing as well, because that circle ended up on Los Leones so early on, Ascendants didn't really have to worry too much about taking lengthy rotations or really weird transitions from one compound to play to the next. And I think that really helped them in
Mm.
terms of setting them up to do what they do best, which is, as you said, frag out, get those kills, and kind of work their way patiently through the city. I mean, we kind of think back to that epic hide and seek game between, I believe it was Pros Don't Snake, but play for fun. Play for fun in those vicinities. But I think Ascendants especially can perhaps use games like that to their advantage. The question, of course, comes to, is that going to maybe give them some motivation, some momentum, rather to play confidently and find themselves up in the late game through the rest of today? Because right now they're sitting in fourth place and they're not that far in terms of points away from potentially playing for first.
Yeah, I'm looking at my little stat sheet here, and one of the biggest problems for Ascendants is the teams that they keep running into. I mean, most of their fighting has been with Team Clueless, Virtue, and Keck W Kier. So, I mean, when you're looking at this lobby, uh, those are teams that you generally don't want to be getting into fights with, right? And look at it
Mhm.
once again, they find themselves in a fight early.
Oh, and against Monkey Business, no less. This is a team that, although has struggles, will take these fights aggressively and confidently. As you can see, Gribble's just full sending it right now to the top of the hill, trying to do something. Oh, Maji got a little bit low, but there you go. Was able to pop off a med kit, but it looks like right now the play is to just try and hold this compound as confidently as they can. And then Gribbles is already starting to pull back. I'm not sure if he's going to rejoin Big Penguin, try to have another angle on this, but that's going to open up Maji, take a couple shots here out of them, and Monkey Business is actually going to leave this alone. But look at this, PDS Sociopath, you can see him on the mini-map, starting to take a peek at what's going on here.
Yeah, I think that's the right play from Monkey Business to pull off of this. Given that you are pretty much in the center of the circle right now, any fight with Ascendants, given that the compound that they're in, would take forever to play out. And so you kind of take the risk of being third-partied here as we saw Sociopath already coming up over the top, trying to do a little bit of that himself. Liberate, meanwhile, looks like Hello Senpai going to be taking a few shots at Hims as we have No Cap and Minas and Orion actually taking shots from the south side. So Liberate not in a very safe position right now.
No, you can see No Cap's trying to push into this. Why So Ugly is actually going to trade that knockout and going to work immediately on getting that res as Adit's trying to help out. But you can see Liberate's landing a few shots at Adit, and if they can get that knocked down, that could be huge for taking them out here. But he's still going to get that res despite the Molotov going off. Oh.
Gwen Stacy from way downtown going to steal that. You'll love to see it there. Orion getting their points. And now it looks like Liberate's... Yeah, Liberate's crashed on this as well. What? Oh my God, Ice Tech.
There you go, more shots, gets Halo Senpai down. A Crow getting another here, and now Ice Tech, Guabi, the last two up for Liberate. Things just falling apart around them. I think the biggest thing that's helped is that Plube has been knocked down. San Diego Rarity running a little bit of pressure, some damage coming in from the west side. So Liberate has to be a little bit careful with some of these peaks as they try to pull back for that fight just a bit. You see that nade coming back out now. Is not going to be anywhere near inland and Why You So Ugly.
I'm still just shook at the fact that Ice Tech just roasted Plube from like 500 yards with a scar spray. Like, that's absolutely disgusting. We'll see if they can stay alive for the time being. I imagine No Cap is going to try to finish this off. I don't think there's any way they can really get to Plube on this. So Plube most likely done. You can see, as you said, Rarity still taking shots at this from long range. No Cap, I think, is just thinking about pulling away.
Oh, yeah, Tater hitting shots down too, still from Labadita onto Liberate. Guabi and Ice Tech will have this building for right now, but you can see anytime they try to leave, it's met right now as Adit is going to get a couple more shots on them. And this is really just a hard thing. I mean, we've kind of talked about Liberate's struggles on Miramar, and that's a prime example of it. Now, meanwhile, you see this rotation coming in for both Cozy Crew and Virtue. As it looks like, well, somebody might have stopped to take a couple of shots, but Cozy Crew is just going to keep on keeping on. Now it's Tanaka that it actually stops. They're going to keep moving on now as well. Everybody right now, I think, is just trying to get as center as possible with these circles because Poro, we already have an idea of where this is going to go, and it looks like the teams do as well.
I was actually about to say the opposite. I'm actually surprised how spread out everybody is, given this circle. You got people going all the way up to water treatment. I think these teams are so expectant of the hard shift now that they're just playing the odds. They're saying, okay, well, you look at all these teams kind of hanging around La Bandita, around Bacado, and they're saying, okay, well, if this thing cuts hard south, we're in the best position. If it goes anywhere else, we're going to have to rotate anyway. So might as well just set up for what we hope will favor us. And right now, looks like Innate might have been spotted out. And there you go. You do get the hard shift. Unfortunately for these teams, it cuts to the north.
I mean, the circle has moved now for phase 2 and is going to center itself north of Hacienda there as you see the map up on stream. And that puts Gravity yet again in a good position to potentially play from the high ground. They're up near water treatment. You can see now shots coming out from Supremacy, who were taken out by Gravity in the last match out through mid-game. You know they want those kills. Femme Fatale is an absolute fragger along with Reknar, but they've just not been in situations where they've been able to really do too much and come out with it to show. So they've got to be pretty frustrated right now as they're sitting in 13th place. Additionally, you see more rotations coming out from squads. Pros Don't Snake getting a little bit close to Monkey Business. We're going to get through just fine. Oh, getting close to Gravity. Look at those shots coming out. Actually going to get the knock. Sovereign taking down Lister here. That's an easy flush for Lipson.
Well, PDS We'll see if they can make it through this field just a little bit more. Not sure where Sociopath is going. He's pulling off while the rest of his team continues to wrap around. But as you said, we talked about teams taking the gamble, about the hardship. Gravity, Cozy, Virtue, all seeing a big payoff for their gamble that this thing was going to cut north as they get the really strong compounds here around water treatment. PDS will go ahead and take the gas station, which is not so bad for themselves either.
No, I mean, going inside water treatment is probably one of the big risky plays because it's really hard to get out of water treatment, especially when teams start to take the high ground in or around the bulls. That's what we're seeing right now, teams looking for those compounds in or around the area. Once again, right, taking the gamble that this is going to hard shift itself north. Meanwhile, we see No Cap finds themselves a nice little compound here at Crossroads, just about as center as you can get should this take another south or southeast wrap for that phase. So kind of back again, at least for teams out to the mid and south. They've put some distance between them, but it's the teams out to the west that are continuing to condense down and kind of collapse on one another.
No Cap, one of those teams that through group stages was showing really, really good ability to team fight. And for whatever reason, it just has not been working out for them so far in this lobby, sitting in 15th place, only 25 points so far. They just can't seem to find a late game, and they can't seem to find these team fights. They just, it feels like they're getting nickeled and dimed throughout the early and mid game. They'll lose one here and there, and they just can't keep four up to the late game to show what they can really do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, nickel and dime, has already kind of happened, right? They're down to just 3 players already, and we're only in phase 2.
Mm. Well, let's see what they can find out here. As everybody just kind of doing some casual repositioning. Only a couple of shots coming out across the map for the time being. Clueless. One of those being shot at by Cozy. We've got a few coming from Play for Fun onto Rarity while they reposition around San Martin and Hacienda. See Monkey Business also trading back and forth here. Is Raven kind of finding himself out in the middle of a field here in between Monkey Business and Orion, so keep an eye on Ascendance. I think they should be okay for the time being. And there you go, the hard shift cuts again. And Gravity, Cozy, again, feeling fantastic. And honestly, Virtue had the compound where Team Clueless is kind of moving around right now, and they left it to go, they've left Batty in one spot off to the west. They've sent 3 up to the north to play the hills around water treatment. We'll see how that plays out for them as this game proceeds.
I mean, it's a really risky play to leave Batty behind. I'm not sure if it was intentional or if it was just that the 3 members were able to get out safely and had no choice but to kind of keep Batty there. But Team Clueless and Cozy Crew in a position to make that kind of rejoining, if Batty Lil chooses to go back towards the squad, pretty difficult for him. So Batty Lil might be marooned off on his own for the time being. And now you can see Ascendants were trying to send it somewhere safely, are going to accidentally flip their Murano. And smokes are coming out for Rippers, trying to create some kind of hard cover, but immediately Maji gets taken down. So does Ripper here. Kektepekirs pick up both of those, and Ascendants heartbreakingly goes out in 16th.
I hate to see it. Meanwhile, No Cap left their compound, and they hard crash here onto Pros Don't Snake. Looks like they've traded 1 for 1 for the time being. Meanwhile, Supremacy sneaking up on Rarity and Hacienda. Rarity going to be fully aware, though, as Reknar gets taken to about 23 HP.
You see Reknar looking for some kind of angle to play from here right now as the shots continue to come out from San Diego Rarity onto this compound. The rest of this team's out south and aren't really in a place to do much of anything, as you can see as well in the kill feed. Pros Don't Snake and No Caps continue to been fighting off. I think that Pros Don't Snake, Sociopath, accidentally shot a teammate who might have run in front of him as that push was coming in. So now you can see No Cap is going to pull back away from that fight. They are going to lose at it, but Pros Don't Snake are able to recover, keep 3 still standing, and hold on to that gas station. But now if you're No Cap, you've got to be careful because you've got Virtue who's at the top of this bowl, and that's when we talked about water treatment being a really difficult place to play from.
Nickeled and dimed once again for No Cap here is why he's so ugly. Going to take a few shots over towards Super. They'll get him low, but they won't get the down. Enland also has to retreat to a safe space here to get himself healed up to full. Virtue looks like they might be interested in taking this one here. But Super needs to be careful because he's a little bit exposed. Yeah, Pros Don't Snake getting him real low there. Again, not giving up the knock just yet. But you got to remember, Virtue is in that weird 3-1 where they've left Batty way off to the west. And now Super is going to go down to Sociopath. So Evasion and Tanaka now have nothing but no cap in front of them to worry about.
And, you know, they really pulled the rest of Virtue back down into water treatment as we wait for that circle to shift. Water treatment's still going to be into play, so they've got time to take this fight back out. As you can see, Why You So Ugly trying to navigate through the compound and see what he can play from, being very mindful now of the fact that the rest of Virtue is joined them inside the compound. Additionally, on the minimap, you can start to see ELPX looking to potentially backfill that high ground position that we just saw Virtue in a moment ago as they work their way in. However, Supremacy and Rarity, who have been fighting through Hacienda, going to starting to take this fight just a little bit closer into quarters as Orion's starting to put pressure in, third-partying this fight. But all three of these teams are not in the zone pour. They're going to have to move on.
Yeah, this is about to be pretty violent here. As Supremacy looks like they're trying to find some way to just avoid the line of sight of San Diego Rarity for the time being. Orion, meanwhile, you can see them also on the move, trying to wrap around the eastern side, but they're going to find Monkey Business, who's also outside of circle. So all these teams with really rough paths, and it seems like all roads to the circle go through San Diego Rarity right now.
You know, and this is a good opportunity for them to rack up some points, play gatekeeper just a little bit, and then move on to a nice position. They just need to be careful of the rest of the teams that are still trying to push in. As you can see, Elusive coming out of San Martin is going to take this as an opportunity to wrap just a little bit to the west and out of line of sight from those teams that have been fighting off to their east. You can see the kill feed still lighting up now as San Diego Rarity. Nate's going to get a knock onto Honey Honey, and Orion tried to go wide to avoid what was happening in Hacienda, but find themselves right at the clutch of Liberate, still in line of sight of Monkey Business, and now San Diego Rarity even starting to look just a little bit in this direction to wonder what's happening in their backyard.
Yeah, Rarity's starting slowly to move towards circle, but I think they might be on to Orion's rotation. Orion will get that res. They'll get back up to 4 strong. Now Monkey Business is in the rough spot. As we see, they are going to send it over in this direction. They'll run right into Liberate. Meanwhile, you see Rarity and Supremacy trading back and forth. And Monkey Business will finish off Liberate on the edge of the circle.
Oh, Liberate going out here.
Just in time.
Oh, could be huge right now for Orion to third party this as they act quickly while Monkey Business is still working on recovery. We can see the heals and boosters coming right out so they can try to recover, but the throwables for Orion aren't quite enough to take down any member of Monkey Business just yet. Camberghini was looking to spot an angle, but has to be a little bit careful of San Diego Rarity to the south. So we can see some underhanded grenades from Morns out there to try to keep Orion from continuing this push, but number one Tater isn't letting off just yet.
That is the thing. Orion does have to be aware of San Diego Rarity. Fortunately for them, it looks like Reknar is going to sneak up on the backside, and he'll get 2 of Rarity. It's down to just in 8 for Rarity. He's going to find Gakel and try to go for the down while Monkey Business tries to get reses in a shack that's not being attacked.
Orion sent one ahead to this fight as you see Nate trying to do something here about the rest of Supremacy. Femme Fatale and Reknar are still up. Couple shots out, but the window bar is actually going to prevent Innate from getting any of that damage. He will still find Femme Fatale, gets the knock, tries to pick up the flush as the blue slowly creeping in, and now Orion creeping in as well as they look to do something about this. You can see the bullets coming out from Monkey Business towards Camberghini, but they're not going to let up just yet. And Nate, though, has found an angle safely to try and pop out that first aid kit. You see that circle once again is going to shift towards water treatment. A split between that high and low ground on the road at hand now, and nicely thrown nade from number one Tater. It's going to get down Mords and Penguin spotted out. Orion gets themselves through a fight, still 4 strong, picking up quite a bit of kills. And now as they head to the zone, they do need to be careful of Innate still in the area, but so is Reknar.
Yeah, Reknar kind of put the brakes on the push forward after getting those 2 downs. Tries to, okay, Innate's going to spot him out. He ate a little bit of blue damage. Innate will clean him up. But as you said, play for fun. Now just taking shots over the top of this. Orion, meanwhile, finally having things go somewhat their way here in a late game.
There you go. Tater and Camberghini spotted out Innate. They heard the shooting going on in the compound, turned to realize, wait, there's still a few players here. Got the clean, and now you can see sitting on 5 kills. They've still got healthy vehicles. The question, of course, now goes, where do they go? You've got 10 other teams still alive and have already found themselves in the circle, so that's going to be a bit of a journey for them up ahead. As we can see, Team Clueless is also doing that, sending Sharu to scout ahead early. He's found themselves a little bit of a shed, but you've got Virtue, No Cap, Prosnote, Snake all in the area, and so this could be a very risky position for them to play from, as it looks like they're choosing to instead go for that water treatment edge.
Ryan tries a hard crash, but they get roasted immediately by KEKW Kiers. They left Gwen Stacy behind, though, to, I guess, do a little bit of oversight. It didn't really work, though, as I don't think Gwen Stacy took a single shot over in that direction, so I guess maybe a little insurance policy on the part of Orion, but not really sure where he's going to go at this point.
He's just going to have to lie low and hope to not be spotted out by Play for Fun, who's done a good job of keeping watchful eyes on what's been happening out to the south. Meanwhile, back ahead at water treatment, you could see Nick 101's made his way back into the vicinity. I'm trying to be as careful as possible. Evasion X has been down by No Cap. Why You So Ugly picks that one up. And so 2 members of No Cap still in the vicinity. And Nick 101 and see just crawling, I think might be trying to play this one sneaky and potentially could take out both members of No Cap and give this position to Team Clueless.
Oh, he got spotted out there. He doesn't land a nice shot in the end land, though. That AK doing work. As the grenade will come and follow it up. It's not going to be there, though.
Right when his first aid popped off.
Oh, I don't think he knows it. Why You So Ugly got the reposition. He does now, though.
Oh, and they see the flashbang come out. Or Why You So Ugly underhanded there. Try to make sure that Nick maybe is just put out for just a second. We see that nade, though, is going to come back out in the smoke. Gets him down to 49 HP. Why You So Ugly isn't really taking a chance on pushing this either. You don't want to lose a knock here. No Cap needs to be careful to stay alive, and the rest of Team Clueless is not in a position to really lend a hand here. They're committed to staying down to the low ground on the street. If you take a look at the map, you can see all the teams rotating in. That gas station, though, that PDS has been sitting at all map, is still firmly in the center of this zone.
It was a rough rotation early for them to take it, but once they got there, is been getting a little bit of luck here. As Why You So Ugly will trade it back with Nick 101 down to about half HP. Nick gets taken down, and Land finds the angle, and that's going to be him going down. Team Clueless, meanwhile, the rest of them looks like they have found their way underneath the pipe just off to the south of water treatment. Looks like Cozy Crew is trying to figure out how they want to get inside this circle. You can see they've got that wide open area on the top of the cliff there, but that is anything but safe.
I mean, there's really not a lot of places for these teams to go. Full sending is kind of the only thing, and we see even as well ELPX actually sent 2 ahead. We're able to get there safely, but you've got KEKW Kiers, Gravity, Prosnote, Snake all sitting on compounds and having really good control, and the rest of these teams that are coming in just a little bit too late now. As you can see, Play for Fun falling apart now as Sneak Attack is going to get Moff down. Elusive is in a bit of a tricky situation themselves. I mean, everybody's playing for what little bit of a crumb they can find in terms of cover for these circles.
Rough stuff here for a lot of these teams as Destinator does get spotted out, taken out. Hambino tried to send it over to PDS's compound, but he gets picked off as well as NHS goes down. Sharu now the last one up for Team Clueless. We'll see if Vexel can spot him out right under the pipe as Cozy Crew just working that ridge line, seeing whatever they can see. NHS is going to be alive as long as that smoke is there. And well, there goes the smoke. There goes NHS.
Cozy Crew's been doing quite a bit of damage. The only kill they have there was that one stolen just at the end onto Team Clueless. Now, as you see, Gravity is actually going to give up their compound early and fight KEKW Kiers for some of this high ground that we know they love to play from here on Miramar. But D-Rich getting down very low, can't find the knock on either player of the KEKW Kiers, but there you have it. Gets one in the end, and all of Gravity now sitting on 7 kills, but look at the cost.
Well, cost hadn't been that bad.
Oh.
They got all 4 up.
Excuse me, I read that wrong. Gravity is still 4 up. Oh
They're
my
looking
goodness.
pretty good
And
right
with that,
now.
look at this circle, Poro. I mean,
You
I
know,
don't want to say that the gravity is being favored here, but this is definitely a circle they can work with.
it's Sonics and PCS2 championship all over again. As they do manage to keep four. Look, they guessed right, and they came from the north side, and the circle went to the north side, so more power to them. But they still have some work to do as Cozy is starting to push in. Elpix and Fizzle still snaking right around that same area, so it's not by any means secure here. Zovran will come up. You can see how close he is to Milo there for Elpix.
Oh. How nasty they are with these shots right now. Zovran and D-Rich are just hitting some insane shots. Pankill getting a headshot on Tetra as well. They're cleaning up Cozy Crew. Only Nitrogen still standing as he's trying to get a res, keep some other member of his team alive. But you can see the throwables coming out right now for Gravity to do some work.
Milo.
But ELPX Milo was still here. Is going to find a knock, but Lipson trades that back out quickly. We can see those reses trying to come out quick, but the damage has been done elusive. Fizzle was hiding through this, and Gravity, though, 11 kills, loses D-Rich, has 2 players down, and you see Zovran just has to deal with these rats.
So many rats. So many rats hiding around, and now Fizzle is going to be the one that does the most damage. Looks like Cozy was able to get 1 res off, so it's back to Nitrogen and Vexel, but Nitro and Vexel not really pushing this, not really getting involved. Oh my god, Fizzle just finished him off.
Heartbreaking into Gravity there, but they picked up so many kills, Poor, and you can see Fizzle, although solo, he's sitting on 8 for elusive as well, so this is good for both of these teams. PDS finally pushing out of their compound and coming in for the low ground. Cozy Crew also was able to get that res, so Nitrogen did pick 1 player back up. It's Vexel. Now if you're Cozy Crew, you got to be a little bit careful for this push coming in for PDS. Sociopath just coming right up to the ridgeline.
I mean, you couldn't ask for more luck here for PDS, as they've managed to get a good compound early, held on to it, got a couple of kills off of teams that are just kind of playing around them. They're sitting on 7 right now. This could be a huge jump for them as they came into this game in 12th place with only 30 points, and this could be exactly what the doctor ordered for this squad, but they've got to finish it off, and they've got to try to get these points off of the final 3 players remaining.
I think my biggest disappointment right now, just in a bit of this, has been Cozy Crew right now only sitting on 1 kill, and I think having a little bit of a struggles here, but if they can spot out Fizzle and play from this angle, there's a potential that they could also win this back. As you see, Vexel is going to get him out. It's now a 3v2 for PDS, and immediately as PDS sees that happen in the kill feed, they're going to use that as the dinner bell to say, hey, now's the time to push. We know that they just got engaged. There's 2 others besides us. We've got potential for cover here. So Zin first to move ahead. See Skatska going wide for an angle. Sociopath just making sure nobody wrapping around to the side, but Nitrogen and Vexel are going to choose that fight here onto Skatska.
Yeah, Skatska better be careful. He does have a rock to play with. I think he hears the footsteps and might be calling for his teammates' support over here. He should hear multiple pairs of footsteps as well, so that should give the game away here as Cozy opting, instead of doing a split here, they're just going to stick together and hope that their combined power can win it. Nitrogen gets taken to about half HP, but Vexel will find Sociopath.
Oh, he does get a second one. It's traded, but now Nitrogen only went on to 41 HP. We can see that helmet and vest are completely damaged, and he's going to use this as an opportunity to go ahead and use that first aid kit, but in doing so, he's allowing Pros Don't Snake to get a res. And now you can see Nitrogen, although done, tries to take the push, but it's too late. Sociopath is back up and standing. He's 28 HP, and it wasn't enough. Dirty Zin lands that headshot, and Pros Don't Snake taking victory with 9 kills.
Huge stuff for Pros Don't Snake, something that they desperately needed to kind of stay involved in the conversation in this lobby, as they were starting to slowly kind of fade away a little bit here. But that will be a nice 19-point win for them. And you know what? Despite the fact that Cozy Crew ended up with kind of only a couple of kills there, it was still good to see them making some good meta decisions early about where to go in all their rotations and how to move. And if it wasn't for a couple of snakes, man, who knows?
I mean, you got to be careful about snakes in the desert, but we saw a lot of teams pull themselves up very well for points that match. But of course, Poro, that's it for Miramar. We're going to change kind of the the vibe, the feelings just a bit onto Erangel and give a couple of opportunities for some of those squads that maybe don't fare so well in the heat.
Yeah, and looking back, well, unfortunately for most of these teams, looking back for Gravity, their air goal was not that great. So maybe it could be good news for some of these teams that are chasing that first place spot. But Gravity, once again, in this game, despite going out in fourth, collecting just a boatload of kills. So I don't know. We'll have to see what the analysts decide to say about this one. Well, that's gonna do it for us. Bye.
Anyway, great job. Pros don't snake, as they prove that they do. They've been snaking a lot. Right? Like yesterday with the dumpster snakes, now with the sand snakes. We're going to a wrangle, so I imagine we'll see some grass snakes, maybe some tank snakes or boat snakes. That said, it's working, Matt.
Okay, so we have now proven the fact that pros do snake by watching Snake v Snake at the end of that one.
Yes.
And Gravity also proving the science behind their name by throwing a game as hard as possible, in my opinion. They had so much control over that high ground, and Fizzle just had an angle for them and demolished them. They would have had high ground control, numbers advantage, and they also aggressed back over to Cozy, and then it just went away.
Cameron, do you concur?
Not really, if I'm being honest. I think them rushing into that circle the way that they did, they had a widespread. I do think it was bad on them, a little sloppy on their end to not check that rock more properly. But the minute Fizzle got that, I believe it was 2 knocks against them, because they're out in the open, because cover was very, very limited. It was going to be a struggle either way to recover
multiple
from
people
that.
up and only had to look back over towards a rock. 2 of them could have shot the person behind the rock. Just saying.
That was one rock, but I think we can all agree that Rez there at the end was a bit sus.
Yes.
Yeah. That was it a Rez? Because it looked like he went back over there, thought about it. Then didn't he start to med? I can't.
We're talking about
I don't remember exactly.
the gravity Rez right in front of Fizzle was a
little.
A little sus.
See, that's where it really got me, is whenever they went for the Rez in that position, I was like, what are you doing? Right? You have all the advantage here.
That smelled like a teammate saying safe Rez and you just having to have faith. That's it. Let's
look
at the highlights.
I love Gravity. I love Gravity. I thought they did great in that game, but that was just a weird play that was coming through here. This game was kind of messy for a lot of different reasons whenever we looked through everything that was going on. Like, most notably, the fact that we had multiple hard shifts in the earlier stages. You can see the cluster on the mini-map right now. This is going to be the repeat problem that keeps happening for these teams that were playing around Hacienda, as it is multiple northern shifts that just pop back to back to back.
Yeah, and the fact that there are still so many teams out in the southern side, I think it would have been a lot better for a number of the teams if they actually took more of a proactive approach towards clearing their space around them instead of waiting until very, very long. D-Rich here, a lot of work to sort of clear this area out. a little bit fast on the pre-fire at that moment there, but still able to clear the area. But you're right, this is that final moment. Fizzle peeking over. That Rez, I do agree 100%, was a bad decision. But with the lack of cover, I understand that with the pressure on, the very few options there to do. And even at the very final moments between Cozy and Pros Don't Snake, there was that single rock, and then there was hanging out on either side.
Hold the angle. Let your teammate potentially get shot first, and then shoot them back.
I will say this. Shout out to Dirty Zid. He got 2 headshots in a row, basically, with that AK to end that game. So that was pretty slick as the peaks happened. And I do want to give a shout out to Hypoc, who's not even casting right now, for the best quote of the day, which, as we were watching, he said, D-Rich just worked the hardest I've ever seen anyone work for some kills. And it was like the way he was going back and forth on that wall. Like, thank goodness he had an extended mag. And then the rest of his team shows up. Like, literally, he goes through the chaos, and then the guy's like, what's up, bro?
He's the distraction. That's why he was juking around so much. He's trying to draw their attention, make everybody shoot at him. See? Master strategy coming into play. I got your back on that one, Gravity.
D-Rich, he's playing mental chess. Let's go to the leaderboard and see how that game came out score-wise, Cameron.
19 points for Pros Don't Snake, and as was mentioned, they absolutely need it because coming into this, they had 30 total points with 16 kills, 9 kills in this one. So it's a huge jump up. Is it too little too late to break into the top 4? If they can have endings and moments like this in Erangel, I think they could climb up there. But so far, this single game has shown to be an anomaly.
Well, also Elusive walking away with 13 points inside. If you're Gravity getting a big game, that's going to be big for them. Clueless going out in 15th. You're
Yeah.
starting to see the leaderboard's going to start being a little bit more stabilized up towards the top. But Cozy Crew, KEKW Kiers also having good games, 6 to 8 points apiece, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, Gravity, with only 3 games less to go, effectively greases the rope below them, and you can see Team Clueless struggling to sort of make that climb. So we'll see. With a move to Erangel, there is possible. Gravity got the lion's share, more than the lion's share, Cameron, of points on Miramar yesterday. They were a lot weaker on Erangel, so this may open some doors.
Yeah, but I think that they're playing very, very well so far, and it was pointed out in the Green Rune. I forget who it was, I think it was Godspeed, that when you want to compare Gravity and Clueless are generally, they play throughout the mid game very split up and take multiple different fights. And I think if you do compare that to Gravity, Gravity seem to play more as a unit, more as a single solid team. And if they can continue to perform as they have been, maybe what?
Oh, I was going to say, the Gravity actually tends
What?
to run a lot of 2-2 splits very early inside the game. Like that game, they were running a 2-2 split across the 2 different god complexes west of where we see the water treatment plant at. You know, the ones that are across the road from each other and have vision. We often see on the other side of that, it's more like Clueless likes to play closer towards edge and not so prone to make the jump towards center and super strong positions. Because really we saw Cozy and Gravity hold down 2 of the strongest complexes, or technically 3, that you can see inside that circle for a very long time.
Gravity is lifting off. 96 points for them as Team Clueless continues to chase, but the gap gets wider at 20. That said, there is a bonus $500, Cameron, for the team with the most chicken dinners. So that may be a different level of race for them to engage in.
That could be. So far, they've been relatively spread. Only 2 teams with 2. Everyone else has 1. How things go. So if some team suddenly wants to pick it up and either full sweep Erangel, or if either Gravity or Clueless get 1 or 2 themselves, then that is something that they could be fighting for. Because Gravity, I want to say that they're almost guaranteed to stay into the top 4 no matter how they perform. Clueless, you just need to have perform 80% of how they have been so far, I think, to guarantee in top 4. So those might be the goals that they're going to put for themselves for the final 3 games.
Be nice to
I'm
see a
just gonna
big.
feel. Oh, I was gonna say I'm gonna feel bad if Liberate just narrowly doesn't make it into top 4. You can see KEKW Kiers are right back behind him with just 1 point. Elusive now stepped over them into 1 point. Big shout out to Elusive, by the way. They really got their stuff back together in the, I guess, last half of yesterday and today so far. So good performance coming up from them.
You know, you say you'll feel bad. I won't, because it is a symptom of Liberate to be chronically delayed in terms of turning it on. So if they do miss by a little bit, I'll just point and be like, should have started stronger, because it seems to happen a lot. Kills and damage. Pan kill is Pan King, and Zovrin gaining quickly.
Yeah, now poor Shuru over here. He was fighting over for second, but Zovrin now overtaking him, and it looks like it is just becoming the Gravity show on kills and damage between Pankill and Zovrin both. Just look at there's what, 2 points of damage separating Pankill and Zovrin right now?
Oh yeah, it's true. Wow. Gravity is a little bit terrifying in this lobby right now. Maybe not after the fight we saw at the end of the last match,
Yeah,
Cameron,
I know.
but...
I'm picking on him about the throw, but really they've been doing very good on control so far.
Well, that's true, but I think part of it is maybe a little bit of cockiness. Like, they have been doing very well, and it felt abusive the way they played that last game. Like, they thought, Fizzle can't stop us.
It's more... Yeah, I agree that there's going to be an element of cockiness in it, but when you saw all the hardships that were thrown into this game, and the fact that Gravity, despite not generally playing on the edge, found themselves on that edge position going into the end game, there was a little bit of pressure on them, and I understand probably their internal tempo was just unnaturally increased, and they just ran into the circle trying to look for some way to set up shop and not be in an uncomfortable position close towards the edge. They didn't peek that position, or they didn't really properly check that position that Fizzle was at, and did get punished for it.
That could be kind of true, given the fact that we just saw them do the wipe just a second ago and make the push up the hill. They just might have been living off of adrenaline at that point.
The teamwork award, by the way, goes to the KEKW Kiers, as they control 1 and 2 on the assist boards, Mantram.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a little bit of Gravity showing on this one with D-Rich on there, but KEKW Kiers, I'm really digging the way that they play and approach. The issue with it is the fact that we very often see them, whenever they take a fight, have a third and fourth party harass them. So it almost feels like the hardest position to play is wherever KEKW Kiers is at.
They also are not what they were doing yesterday, Cameron. They have been quiet today, where the aggression that I attributed to watching them yesterday seems gone. They seem almost malignant in a lot of ways.
Part of it might just be they're in top 4. They're saying the old classic strategy of let's just play safe and maintain our position. But as we covered yesterday, that rarely ever pans out in the way that you hope so. So going back onto Erangel, hope they can go back to their older form. I'm looking at the numbers. I think their Erangel is marginally better than their Miramar strictly because they had that one victory. But if you sort of balance that one out, I don't think it's they're terribly Erangel map favored. So it's going to have to be more of an internal change for themselves if they want to crawl back up into the top 4.
Matt, do you have anybody who's been kind of a good surprise for you today? Somebody who's impressed you or lived outside the box you put them in?
Well, I'm enjoying what Elusive is bringing so far today, without a doubt. They're stepping up. Apparently, we just need to hit him with the cattle prod a little bit. Let Poro go to town on him on social media before the games and see how that works for him. Past that, I mean, there's been a couple of like standout moments, but everything is starting to stabilize in a way that I would say is fairly predictable at this point. I'm still wanting to see more from Liberate. I think that they're a better team than what we're presently seeing from them.
Interesting. Cameron, anybody else that you've seen that sort of felt like they were outside the box?
Nothing particularly comes to mind. I'm more just looking at how the teams overall perform as a whole. And so far, again, outside of Kekta Ryukiyo's for the most part, it's mostly just been PCS teams that have continued to surprise me. Cozy Crew. Yeah?
I got one. And it's going to be just a player. And I think that that's Greta. I think that while we're seeing some issues that are happening that's going on around her, we regularly see her doing her best to try to make the worst of a bad situation. And I'm not trying to make that sound as bad, like terrible.
No, it's straight up.
She's doing a good job in what she's got going on around her at the time.
It's I mean, I agree with you 100%. And I think we said it in the green room that Orion has been I'll just say it, a disappointment, for lack of a better word, an absolute disappointment. But Greta has not. And I would not be surprised to see Greta playing with a different team at a higher caliber in the near future, because she's showing some really great moments of brilliance. That said, we're going to take a brief moment to have a break, to catch our breath, to let everyone do their business, and we'll be back in just a few more minutes with the final 3 matches of the Challengers Cup here for PCS3.